Hi, Ghosties. I'm Macy.
And I'm Natalie.
And that's Petey.
Hello.
You may have seen him on our last episode, and he wanted to make an appearance again.
Yeah, we shut the door, and I looked down, and he was already in here, so.
Well, today's episode is a listener stories episode. We've got stories of shadow figures, evil imaginary friends, the works.
Fun.
I'm excited.
I'm very
I'm
excited,
excited
too.
to read some of these to you.
I've been having a lot of fun lately.
And we have another tea that we've tried before. Someone calls it a tea peat.
Oh, yeah. We've gotten that comment a couple times.
It's Bigelow Constant Comment. So, let's go. That's a good tea for fall.
I agree.
Makes me ready. I've been ready.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is. Literally since July 5th, and I've been seeing people say, like, after July 4th, July 5th, like, all Halloween. I'm like, yes, that is me.
Basically,
I am this.
I've been holding myself back from going to, like, TJ Maxx and stuff, because I know it's going to be bad.
Yeah.
I know. And I can't. I can't see all the ghost things.
Soon.
This
first story is from Stevie. Hi, Ghosties. I'm a fan of your channel and have a spooky story to share. My husband's family owns a restaurant, which I waitress at on the weekends. A few years ago, when my husband and I were still dating, we went out with a few friends to the bar afterwards, and I ended up spending the night at his place. The next morning, when I returned home to my parents' house, my dad asked me to be more quiet if I'm coming home late because the slamming of doors and clacking of my high heels on the stairs woke him up. As you can imagine, this was perplexing to me because first of all, I didn't come home that night, and second of all, I don't wear high heels when I'm waitressing. Because my mom was asleep next to my father, it wasn't her. So when my sister got home from school, I asked if she was out late, thinking she's who my dad heard on the stairs. The color drained from her face when she told me she was home all night, and although she didn't hear any, quote, clacking or door slamming, she thought that I too came home late because, as she was reading in bed, she saw the light in my bedroom turn on from across the hall. She then turned off her light after a few minutes, and coincidentally, my bedroom light turned off too. She turned her light back on as she felt scared for some reason, and the light in my bedroom turned on too. When she called out to me, the light in my room turned off again, and she ended up falling asleep with the lights on. That hasn't happened before or since, and my family isn't into practical jokes. Looking back, I wouldn't say the house I grew up in was haunted, but over the course of 27 years there, a few strange things have happened. Feelings of being watched, hearing my name when no one else was home, electronic toys going off in the middle of the night, dogs barking at the wall, and seeing shadows move out of the corner of my eye. I'm not sure how to end this email as I've never submitted story content to a channel before, but happy October and enjoy the rest of your week. Best regards, Stevie.
Aw, I like the way that ended.
Yeah, me too. These were sent in October, and maybe that's part of the reason why I'm yeah, fall.
Because you've been reading October stories?
Yes, but anyway.
Hello.
Yeah. I don't like that. So I'm glad that nothing else has ever happened in the house,
Yeah.
It was just like a one-time thing, but still. Why was it mimicking Stevie?
That's what I was going to say. Was it pretending to be Stevie and like going to their room? I don't know. That's really strange. I just hope it's a collective delusion. I hope they watched a scary movie a couple weeks before and then they all just were like a little bit freaked out and somehow their electric stuff like malfunctioned. And that's why the lights were turning on and off.
Yes.
That's what I would tell myself.
Our next story comes from Anonymous. Hello, we are from India, and the story I'm about to tell you is about my cousin's family. When they were around 7 to 8 years old, they used to live with their parents in this old apartment, which had 4 floors, and they used to live on the 3rd floor. They are a family of 4. So the apartment they used to live in was very old, and as they were new to the city, they found this apartment best for them. They lived there for 3 years, and during these 3 years, they had very creepy experiences. The mother once had a very creepy dream of seeing a black figure beside her bed staring at her. It had thick hair all over him. The mother instantly opened her eyes and looked everywhere, thinking it was all real, but there was no one. Even the 7-year-old son started having scary dreams. He heard an old lady laugh, and when he opened his eyes, he saw her swinging back and forth on the swing they had on the balcony with a creepy smile on her face.
Dang it.
The son got scared, and when he opened his eyes, he found himself in a weird position, squatting not on his bed but on the floor. Fast forward 16 years. Now they live in a much better house, but they still get creeped out talking about the apartment. They also found out that 5 people had taken their own lives in that apartment. That story I'll tell you in the next email because this is getting too long. Bye, have a good day. I love your podcast.
Hello? It was not too long.
No,
Oh
it
my
wasn't.
God. Give us more. Give us more. I need to know more.
I hate that kind of darkness on a space.
But you might be wondering why I said dang it about the swing.
I would be wondering, I mean.
Oh, I don't know why that caught me off guard. Because that added another thing to my list of things I can't have.
A swing on a balcony or a porch swing
porch
of any
swing.
kind.
You know, the older I get, the more I'm like,
Appreciate a porch swing.
the more I'm just turning into a Southern grandma. I've
I think I'm already
never,
there.
I've never been particularly Southern, but since we started the pod, I feel like I keep saying I'm not Southern, and then I'm like, ding-a-ding-a-dargan, like I'm just like becoming I'm really showing my Texas side, you know? Did that come across how I hoped? Anyways, because I used to be very like, ooh, California, like I hate the South, blah, 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 blah. But I really like it here. And so the more time goes on, the more I'm like, yeah, I would love to have some sweet tea and sit on the porch on my
nice
porch swing.
Porch swing on a hot summer day.
No, on the 2 nice days out of the year. Yeah, I would love that. I would love that.
Not anymore.
No, I can't have anything that swings or rocks, stationary furniture, and no windows.
Except not chairs.
No chairs. We're just standing.
I'm
unwell.
Are you okay?
No. Let's continue. But also,
Okay.
please, is that anonymous?
Yes, tell us more.
Tell us more.
Our next story comes from Rose. Hey guys, my name is Rose, and I thought you would like my stories on the channel. The story starts with my sister before I was born. My family had an apartment before I came about, and my sister had an imaginary friend. One afternoon, my mom and sister were waiting for my dad to get home. My sister came into the living area of the apartment, and she said her imaginary friend was in my parents' room in the dark. My mom and sister left after that and didn't go in the apartment until dad returned. I wouldn't be able to go check. I'd be like, okay, get in the car. I think I would do exactly what Rose's mother did. Now to a story that happened when I was a baby. My family moved houses, and the previous tenant had died in the house. It is said he was really good with children, and kids loved him. I apparently was no different from my sister. I would be caught in my room talking to an imaginary friend I called the silly man.
Oh no.
And he would argue with what we believed was an unsafe entity called the mean man. Also, when I got my diaper changed, I would look over people's shoulders and giggle. I would go into my parents' room at night and say, the silly man and the mean man are fighting again. Can I sleep in here tonight? And my mom would always feel a fourth presence in the room after I said that. I see silhouettes of people in the house. I see shadows, and at night I still feel the silly man over my bed as a form of protection because out in the hall, the mean man is there in the doorway. I can't see their physical forms as much as I used to, but I can feel them there. One more quick story. Whenever I would go to my grandparents' house, I would see weird stuff all the time. I vividly remember Easter morning, my sister and I were in our room, and there was a decent-sized hole in the ceiling because the house was old and had an attic. I remember waking up and looking in the crack in the ceiling as it was right above my bed, and there was a set of eyes looking down at me. To this day, I don't know what that was, but my aunt, who is also gifted with paranormal abilities, has seen stuff like that in the house too. Anyways, thanks for reading my spooky times. Feel free to share, post if you'd like. I love y'all's videos. You make me smile.
Aw. Okay. At first, when you said silly man, I was like, ooh, spooky. But
It sounds like a creepypasta.
yes, it's
Yeah.
very scary. But he was a protector, and that's
I like
cute.
that it was the former tenant of the home.
But
Like, I think that's so sweet. Like, if he's going to be behind, he's protecting the children because he loved children in his community. Like, I think that's so cute.
but don't like that he has something to protect them from.
Mm-mm.
Who is that?
And is it related to the eyes in the attic?
Or what if the no, I'm getting too weird. I was gonna say
Okay.
like, what if the silly
like
man?
weird.
Okay. Well, what if the old man that used to live there, he had like a dark side,
Oh.
and when he passed,
He's like split into two. This is like very
Yeah.
movie.
yeah, and like
Ooh.
he's been fighting the demons all his life, like internally, and then not literal demons, but you know,
no.
he's been fighting his dark side. So now he's like, oh, I have to protect these children from me.
That is like a weird
don't know.
like twist movie. Like at the end you learn like it's, I don't know. I don't know how to set that up, but yeah, that feels like a movie. Our next story comes from Olive. Hello, Ghosties. My name is Olive.
I love that.
I do too. Little side note before I dive into my spooky experiences, my city has a bubble tea shop called Bestie, like TEA. When you walk in, they say, "Hi, Bestie," and it gives me a smile every time. I get the same smile when you guys do your intro.
That is
Isn't
adorable.
that cute?
That
I'd
is-
like to go there. Many of my first memories are of odd occurrences, specifically of the paranormal kind. One could chalk them up to a child's overactive imagination, but as I look back on them, I get an uneasy feeling. A feeling that I need not give too much energy to the subject so as to not entice them back into my life. Well, here it goes, from the beginning. When I was about 3 years old, I woke my mother in the middle of the night with a loud and chilling scream. She found me sobbing, crouched in the corner of my bed. Through tears, I said, while pointing, "The girl in the closet touched my nose." Thankfully, I don't remember seeing the girl. Well, not that last time at least. When I asked my mom about this, she remembers it quite vividly. She says, "I have always been in tune, as many of the women in my family are. I had a very active imagination as a child. I remember being told, 'Don't let the bed bugs bite,' and I recall seeing foggy critters playfully dancing around me on my bed. One night in the same room as the first story, I saw a perfect ice cream cone spinning on top of a torn-up green upholstered chair. I watched it for a while in shock, with excitement. I jumped up and reached for it. Just as quick as I had got up, it was gone. Being so young, I just shrugged it off and went back to bed. Looking back at it now, it feels menacing, as if something was taunting me. My mom still has the chair, and I refuse to be around it." At the age of 7, my family packed up and moved into a bigger home. We were all so incredibly excited. More room and a huge backyard, all for us. I remember rushing into my room. It was much bigger than the one at our old house. My parents had not moved our things in quite yet. Picture an empty room with light green walls and white trim. I opened the closet and found a small plastic doll. Painted on blue eyes, blonde hair, and no clothing. The crazy and strangest thing is we were the first family to live in this home. Nonetheless, I was excited about a new toy. I know Natalie's probably shaking in her boots, or maybe just finding this creepy as heck, but that is just the beginning of my experiences in that house.
Get out of my head.
Yeah.
I literally was like,
Oh no.
like having a horrible reaction over here. Okay, I gotta get
We
back
all
into
know you.
spooky because that just took me out of it.
Well, this is creepy.
I'm already scared.
On the first night, my bed was set up with my feet facing the closet. I awoke suddenly, not due to a sound, but by some dreadful, overwhelming feeling that I was being watched. Standing there at the foot of my bed, in front of my open closet doors, was me. It was me with no face, wearing the clothes I had worn to school the day before. I still remember the shirt, blue and green tie-dye with an embroidered butterfly. Even with no eyes, I felt her staring into my very being. I don't want to write this, but sometimes I still feel her with me.
Oh no.
It was mimicking her. It was forming. I don't know. It didn't have the power. It didn't have the ability yet to form a whole face.
The printer ran out of ink.
Possibly.
Oh God.
It wasn't until I was 12 that I saw her again. The way our house was laid out, at just the right angle, you could see into my room from the living room. Picture a narrow hallway with a slight turn or two, and at the end, there was my bedroom. At this time, I had a bunk bed. As many other 12-year-olds, my weekends were filled with sleepovers. This weekend was like any other. My friend and I were in the living room, sitting on the floor. I don't recall exactly what we were doing, but I think we were play fighting. During the tussle, I glanced in my room and was immediately struck with fear. My blood ran cold, and I felt my body getting hot. I pushed myself back with force and scooted against the couch, hyperventilating, tears streaming down my face. I blurted out, I saw her, did you see her?" My friend, clearly confused, shook her head no. I assume she thought I was making things up, but what I saw will haunt me forever. On the top bunk, laying on her stomach, hands on chin, there she was. She seemed to age along with me, but this time she had a nose. A part of me feels, for some reason, that she is gaining power, getting stronger, becoming more like me.
Did at the beginning they say the girl in the closet touched my nose?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's weird. That's a weird connection I did not make.
What is happening? So has it been touching different parts of her going, I can take this? I can do this?
Ew. No.
I'm not liking this.
That
Also,
was sickening.
if y'all can hear noises right now,
Oh,
Macy's kids are out there.
Yeah. After this incident, things happened more frequently. My door creaking open for no apparent reason, accompanied by what I can only describe as a raspy moan, gasping for air. This woke me from my sleep. I had the sense that something was crawling rapidly towards me. I felt terrified, defeated. Why me? I had enough one day when I was home alone, doing laundry in the basement, and I heard a male voice whisper my name. I yelled as loud as I could with an alarming amount of courage. "Leave me alone! I don't want you here! Leave me alone!" After that day, I only had silly little things happen. Lights flickering in the yoga studio, radios going fuzzy when I stood too close, and returning to normal when I backed away. Things were relatively normal. I became more comfortable with my spiritual side and found peace in doing so. At 24, I bought my first home, the place I live now. Awesome, congratulations.
Good for you.
I felt so safe, just me and my dog. He's a big boy. I know he wouldn't hesitate to protect me. Before I purchased this home, I actually brought him along with me to a viewing of a different place I was thinking of putting an offer on. The entire time, he kept going back to the front door and anxiously crying, wanting to leave. I trusted his instincts and moved on. I also recalled the place smelling like static, similar to the smell you get by sitting too close to those old TVs. The first time I brought him to our current home, he acted like he had lived there forever and promptly sat on the couch, staring out the front window. There was only one place in the house he refused to go to, the basement. I never understood his fear of it, as we lived in my parents' basement for years before this place. I also didn't get any creepy vibes from the place, but just chalked it up to him not wanting to go down the stairs. One night, I had a haunting dream. In the dream, it was like my vision was pulled from my bedroom and sucked into the basement, settling abruptly in front of the door, leading to the storage room under the stairs. The door was trembling. Something was banging on it, screams escaping at every corner. Through the screams, in a demonic, not feminine or masculine, voice, I made out the words, "Let me out."
Oh no.
The next day, I saged the house and let whatever it was know it was not welcome here, and it needed to leave. I am strict on my full moon rituals and feel safe now, especially when I see signs from the universe such as feathers confirming I am exactly where I need to be. I do not claim the bad energy, I rebuke it. Haha.
Nice. Good for you. Wow. Let me out? I was thinking let me in, but if they're saying let me out,
It wants out of the basement.
get out of my house.
To leave you lovely ladies on a good note, I want to share a happy ghost encounter. One day during golden hour, I was sat on my bed, probably watching Degrassi or some MTV show. I looked up and covered in a sunbeam, I saw a young, handsome man dressed in army attire. He nodded his head, smiled, and saluted me. I've never met my grandfather, but knew it was him as I'd seen pictures of him before. I feel as though he was saying he was proud of me. I hold this memory very close to my heart. Thank you so much for taking the time to read through this email. I, of course, have many more, specifically dream ones. If you'd like me to send more, please let me know. The whole pod is so well done, and I am so happy to have stumbled upon it. Have such a wonderful day, and happy spooky season.
That is so nice saying that the pod is well done, because right now we're having a rough time.
It's not going well,
So
but
if the audio sucks on this one, I'm sorry. There's a lot of sounds happening in the house right now.
yeah. But thank you, Olive. That's so
Thank
kind.
you.
And also terrifying.
And thank you for leaving us on a positive note. That is
Well,
so cute.
Not the end of the episode for you.
I know.
I'm sorry.
But Olive left off on a positive note, and I think that's really sweet. And I love that your dog is like, your protector. This
yeah.
is mine.
Our next story comes from Kjera, I think, and let me know if I said your name wrong. I apologize. Hello, I have been able to watch a few of your videos on YouTube and just love them. I thought I would share some stories with you of some experiences I have had. One night when I was 9, I was lying in my bed and all of a sudden I felt very uneasy and looked up at my window and this thing just popped up in my window. It was in full Native American headdress with a mask on its face. It popped up, growled, and disappeared. I
Growled?
do not like that.
And also, thing? It wasn't like a person?
I don't know, but I don't like it.
I hate that a lot, actually.
2. There was a time in my house when I was a teen when we had a lot of activity going on in our home. Things would happen where something would follow us up our hall, whispering our name. Picture frames would turn upside down. Also, they would fly off of our walls. Many times when I was alone, the lights in my home, along with other electrical appliances, would flash on and off. Another time in the same house, I went to sit in my sister's rocking chair, and this huge wave of despair fell over me. I jumped out of the chair and ran out of the house. And this was late at night. At night, a huge blackness would cover the inside of the house, where light could not penetrate. We would see shadow people walk in our house from outside.
Where is this person from?
I don't know. 3. Here is a near-death experience I thought I would throw in for you guys. It's not as cool as other stories because I never left my hospital room, but still a weird, amazing experience. When I was giving birth to my oldest, he and I almost died. My heart ended up stopping, and they had to give me a shot of adrenaline to restart my heart. I looked over at the monitor, and I watched my numbers plummet. The strange thing is, I watched them go all the way down. I remember thinking, well, I'm dying, but it's okay. I'm in the hospital. I knew what the numbers meant. I had extreme comfort, peace, and warmth. I couldn't feel anything going on with me. In my head, I was awake the whole time. I watched it all happen. But after everything, I realized there was no way for me to be conscious, and the point of view of watching some of it didn't make sense because of the angle I saw it from. I am no longer afraid of death because of that experience. I love stories like that. We did that whole episode on it, and I kind of want to do more.
I would do another one. I love the comforting
Yeah.
near-death experiences
Yes.
because some of them...
Most of them are, though. The
Yes.
vast majority.
Most of them are very sweet and comforting, and every single person describes peace.
A feeling of just total peace. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not looking forward to death, but
No.
that's cool.
But it is a comforting thought to know.
Yeah.
You won't be scared at death.
The only thing I'm afraid of is missing out.
Yeah.
That's literally the only thing I don't want to happen.
Well, then you just become a ghost and you get to live it all.
But y'all, what if y'all don't know I'm there? I want to be I don't want to miss out.
Oh,
on
you want to be an
things.
active member.
Yes.
I got
Yes.
it.
Also, I would be salty watching you all do stuff if I was dead.
Well, hopefully, if you die before me, then I will be a very, very old lady and I'm just going to be sitting in my rocking chair crocheting or something.
I'll be in that rocking chair too.
You.
I'll let you know that I'm there.
4. In another house. If you can't tell, paranormal activity follows my family. One time I went to wash my pot holders. I start the washer, put them all in, and then let the washer do its job. Others in the house watched me put them all in. I went back to cleaning other things in the house, and when I went back to move the pot holders in the dryer, they were not in the washer. Confused, I went into the kitchen to see what happened. On my way into the kitchen, I had a weird feeling, and something in my head said, "Look up." I looked up, and 2 of the pot holders were put behind 2 different picture frames high up on the wall, and 2 more were placed back in the drawer where they go, and 2 more just put on the table. They were not wet, and it was like they were never put in the washer. Still dirty.
That would send me into a psychosis. Like, I would feel like I was losing my mind.
Yeah. The other people saw them do this.
I see my trust. I would not trust anybody. I'd be like, you all did this. You're conspiring against me. And if they'd be like, no, I swear, like, we didn't do it. I would never
But
trust
when you start
again.
the washing machine, usually water starts pouring in, you know?
That's true.
They
So how
weren't
would
wet.
they even?
Weird. On multiple occasions, our freezer would fly open and slam into our kitchen window as if someone had grabbed the door and thrown it open. The same thing would happen with our dishwasher. Cupboards would be open when we would leave the room and come back in. If you put something down, it immediately would disappear and be moved to a very strange place. You wouldn't ever put it there. I have been in my bathroom and think my husband had walked into the room. It sounded like how he walks into a room. And I look and no one is there. I felt someone walk up behind me and felt a presence. We have a lady that will walk out of the guest bathroom and out into the hall and then disappear. We have had orbs float around in the same hallway. We have had our front door open by itself numerous times. I have had moments where I know I could hear my daughter talking in her bedroom just to find she isn't even home. We have had moments where we will be standing by our front door and someone knocks and no one is there. We've heard 3 knocks inside of our home.
No, not the 3. Where are you from? Do you have duendes where you're from?
Maybe with the pot holders and the things disappearing and yeah.
It sounds very,
Some kind of fae folk.
yeah, it sounds very fae-like.
Yeah, that does.
Who am I?
I know, like a year ago or 2 years ago, never.
Who am I? Who have I become?
The
What have you
person I've
done?
molded you to be.
What have you done to me? But yeah, that was my first thought.
Here are my husband's experiences. 1. His freshman year in high school, there was a night he was in his room listening to Soundgarden on CD before going to bed. He hit pause on the CD player and turned around to say his nightly prayers. Before he started to pray, he could hear the music begin to play faintly. So he flipped it down to tape cassette, turned around to pray again, and the music came back on. So then he unplugged the CD player and turned around to pray again, and the music came back on. When he looked back again at the CD player, he saw a black figure run across the foot of his bed. Then he promptly got up, ran out of the room, and waited for his brother to come home before going to bed.
What were they listening to?
Soundgarden.
What is Soundgarden?
You know, Black Hole Sun?
Oh.
You know that song?
That's creepy music to happen with a ghost. Especially that song. I don't know what it is
Maybe.
about that song. That specific song creeps me out a little bit.
Does it?
I don't know why.
I like that song.
It's so catchy, and sometimes I'll catch myself singing it in my head, but I'm like, wait, no, I'm afraid of that song. I don't know why. Specifically just the chorus, though.
Number 2. Another time, when he came home from wrestling practice, he went to take a hot bath. He put on his Soundgarden CD and turned the lights off in the bathroom while soaking. A little while later, after laying there in the dark, the whole room started to glow bright green. He immediately got out of the bath, into the music, and turned on the light, and got out of the bathroom as fast as he could. So does this spirit like or not like Soundgarden?
I think they're into it. the
And trying to
spirit.
turn it back on at night? Kind of like
Maybe.
it.
Maybe, but
Still scary.
very, very brave of your husband to take baths in the dark.
Yeah. Number 3. On another occasion, when he went to bed, he had the lights out in his room. The only light coming into the room was through the cracks of the door. When he looked up from lying down, he could see this man standing with his arms folded, dressed in a trench coat and a fedora, being backlit by the light peeking in. He turned around saying, go away, in his mind. When he turned back around, he was now standing next to him. He promptly got up and ran right out of the room. Years later, when we moved in with my husband's mom, our kids were having a hard time sleeping. They kept saying, the man is looking at us from outside. I immediately doubly covered the windows so nothing could be seen. When we asked what he looked like, they described the man in a trench coat with a fedora.
The Hat Man. Is
Yeah.
it the Hat Man?
I don't know, maybe.
Plaguing the whole family?
I've heard stories of like a generational hat man, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Ew. I don't like it. As you could tell, we have many strange experiences, and it's nice when we can talk to people who have had weird experiences too. We have other things like my daughter has dreams that come true. I know when some things are going to happen before they do. I have had visitations from dead loved ones and so on. Thanks for making your channel. It's amazing and I just love it. Thank you, Kjera.
Thank you.
And again, I'm sorry if I said your name wrong. Our next story comes from Anonymous, number 2.
So many anonymous. Do we have another one? Anonymi?
I don't know.
Anonymouses?
Hi, I love the pod and have 2 mild stories to share. My Staunton, Virginia childhood home was for sure the home of a lingering spirit. There was a story of the previous owner passing away in what was now our dining room, but now being an adult, I can't be too sure that's very accurate. Nonetheless, my parents believed the home was haunted by the previous owner regardless of the story of his passing. We would often hear footsteps going up and down the stairs at night and generally an overwhelming sense that we weren't the only occupants. I remember one specific time. I was eagerly waiting on my friend to come over for a playdate. I was sitting on the stairs out of boredom, looking into the kitchen. It was a split-level home, so you could see the living room and kitchen from the stairs. All of a sudden, I heard my name whispered and footsteps in the kitchen, which puzzled me because I could see that no one was there. But I was nonetheless very scared by this. Frozen, I continued to stare into the kitchen for what felt like an eternity, when suddenly there was a loud bang on the cabinet under the kitchen. It was distinctly from the outside of the cabinet, like someone had taken their fist to it. It was way too loud to have been mistaken for a creak or house settling noise. It took me no time to bolt up the stairs in terror.
How dare you say bang so loud?
I'm so sorry.
That scared me.
I'm sorry. I could see you jump from the corner of my eye.
That scared me. Name whispering. Ever since I said it on the pod that one time, and people are like, yeah, I definitely have heard that too. I'm so scared I'm going to hear it again. Because I think now if I heard it after all of this,
Flipping the table?
I think it would be over for me.
Okay.
I would genuinely just lock up. I wouldn't know what to do.
In another instance, this time in our New Kent, Virginia childhood home, the spirit that was in that house gave us its name, or at least this is what I believe. I knew something was in there, as I would often lay awake at night in terror for no reason I could explain. I would also sometimes hear faint music at night, and I remember avoiding a specific room with the feeling I was disrupting or entering uninvited. One time my sister, godsister, and mom were sitting discussing the possibility of our home being haunted when my mini toddler rocking chair that sat in the corner of our living room started rocking on its own. I know this sounds cliche, but it happened, and I have multiple witnesses to back this up. To the point of this story, I later had a friend over on a separate day. This was during the prime era of Snapchat, so circa 2015. We were just taking goofy videos and sending them to friends when we took one specific one. It's only about 2 seconds long, and we're clearly laughing hard in the video. When we played it back, the video was silent. Odd, because we were laughing. And in a man's voice, we heard the name Juan.
Oh, no.
My family later learned that our home was built on a Spanish Native American battleground. To make matters more interesting, we had an acre of wooded swampland behind our house, which I believe is a perfect energetic breeding ground for spirit activity. Those woods always felt alive, and I couldn't help but be unwillingly drawn to them. Throughout my childhood and adulthood, I've always been very sensitive to spirits, but these are 2 distinct occurrences I will always remember because the spirits so bravely made themselves known. Hope these were worth the read. I like how you reacted so violently to Juan. Like, it's just like, and Juan. Ah!
Because it sounds like, I know.
It's just so, like, one of the most common names in the world.
I was going to say, I know and have met.
Bob. Ah!
I know
Sorry.
and have met probably 50 Juans, like 2 Bobs. I know so many Juans, and I don't know why that scared me. I didn't like that the name was so
common
and so just like Juan.
Hey, it's Juan.
That's scarier to me.
I find it interesting that it was a Spanish name and the history of the land has like Spanish roots
Yeah.
or like Spanish battle.
Hopefully he was just saying like, "Hey, I'm here."
Hey, it's your boy Juan.
God, I don't know why
Snapchat.
I don't know why that's scary. Why is that so scary to me?
I don't know.
Like if they would have said like Bartholomew, I would have been like, "Oh wow, spirit name." What?
Maybe because it's such a common like
And
everyday name.
Yeah.
Our next story was unsigned, so I guess Anonymous 3.
Oh my god. Okay, so the theme is so far anonymous people and swings or rocking chairs. Look at this guy.
He just curled up.
I'm trying not to flash the camera. Every time he moves, I try to cover him up. Wands, not wands. What? I'm gonna hear that in my dreams.
Just stop.
I'm sorry to all the wands. I wasn't trying to say that.
It's not even a funny name.
Okay. Yeah, like every other story has been either anonymous or had a rocking chair or like a porch swing.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Very strange. Hey, Ghosties. Y'all are beautiful, and I just binged your pod on YouTube. Thank you. Like, I went through all of them in 2 weeks. LOL. Running inside my house as fast as possible at night many times afterwards. I love the show and look forward to all the future ones. I thought I would reach out and give you a few of my personal stories. I'm not the best writer, but I will try and make this as spooky and as visual as I can. Also, one of these happened on Halloween in high school, so I figured this would be the perfect time. Again, it was sent in October, so. Just for a little history on the town I grew up in. I feel like it adds to the story. By the way, I love the history pods you guys do. It is a small town called Matthews, Virginia, with a population of only around 9,000. This town is located near Jamestown, so European colonization was very present in the area back in 1641, and my town specifically was established in 1791. Before and during the colonization, Matthews was inhabited by the Chisquiaque tribe. Don't worry, I can't pronounce this either, which was part of the Powhatan Confederacy. There has also been archaeological evidence dating back to almost 10,000 BC, so you can imagine the energy of this place is heavy, to say the least. With plenty of lore and stories of witches, ghosts of English settlers, Native American burial grounds, and curses. Even pirates hiding their treasures in old house woods, only to be lost at sea and never come back. Stories of people disappearing in the woods when they go search for it. I even heard there is a ghost ship that you can see near the woods. Witches crying or laughing in those woods, walking on the beaches at night is not a pleasant experience, for most due to the energy that feels as if it swallows you. I wish I could explain this feeling better, but it feels like unrest. Constant eyes on you, and even when inside a lot of the times, if you are alone, you don't ever feel alone. So, on to my story. I have a few.
I'm already scared. Oh my god.
I know, what a town.
Way to set the scene.
Halloween 2017, I was 17 years old, and of course looking for something fun to get into. My two friends had invited me over to an acquaintance's house to just hang out and maybe walk around her neighborhood a bit. Note, our neighborhoods aren't the suburbs. This is BFE, a very rural area, probably a dead-end road with rarely anyone on it. Anyway, when we arrive, we are greeted by her and her German Shepherd puppy. He was maybe a year old, so not fully grown, but also not small. Well-trained and extremely sweet. While we are deciding what to do, we go out back to her dock that looks out over the creek. The night is starting to creep up, so it's probably 6:30, 7 p.m. The creek was misty and already feeling uneasy. I believe at some point her dad even came out and scared us by accident because for some reason we were all already on edge. So we finally decided we would go to this old abandoned house just down the road that wasn't known necessarily to be haunted, but she had already had a weird experience at. We figured it's Halloween. Let's be spirited and do it anyway. In my head, I was only okay with this because the dog was coming. Normally not one to explore at night, being very scared of the dark. So we're walking. It's about a half a mile down the road, plus about a quarter-mile driveway we have to walk down. I, of course, have to ask, are you sure it's abandoned? Obviously not wanting someone to come out yelling at us or calling the cops. She assures me, and we continue on. The world around us becomes darker, more misty and cold as we get closer. Matthews is surrounded by water, so it's often foggy at night in the fall. Of course, feeling more confident with people, aka with a dog, I'm feeling only a little nervous. On the way there is an old small family graveyard with a big tree in the center surrounded by an old vintage iron fence they used to put around everything. If you know, you know. Also, family graveyards are common in this area. We are rounding the corner of the long driveway and finally start to see the house. Fully made of wood, it's an old English style house, pretty big and right on the water. The driveway seems overgrown, and I don't see any cars in the driveway, so a bit of me eases up, knowing for sure no one lives there. We all stop at the same time, though, once we notice the yellow light on the porch is on. And there's a man in a rocking chair on the porch.
Dude?
I know. We all take no time to think, and we run to hide behind the trees we had just rounded. Of course, confused, I asked, I thought you said no one lives here. Again, she says no one lives there, and that her dad even knows the realtor that's in charge of selling it. Confused, we all peeked around the corner to see if he was headed our way. The man was gone. The strangest part was that the man looked long and lengthy and seemed to be dressed strangely. We saw the outline of an old tricorn hat. We were still pretty far away from the house, though, so we kind of brushed it off and thought, it's dark. Maybe it's fine. So we decided, let's turn around and just go to the graveyard and look around. I know, the worst idea ever, but again, it's Halloween. The graveyard was a bit away from the house, down the gravel driveway. I guess longer than I probably described earlier, now that I think of it. So we go in through the fence and sit right next to the tree. Of course, my two friends, being guys, are cracking jokes and trying to lighten the mood a bit, but honestly, it wasn't working. I was not in the mood, and nothing was distracting me from the deafening silence that seemed to surround us. Normally, hearing frogs, crickets, and the wind in the trees around me, not even any mosquitoes were around. It is not only weird because I'm sure they are the devil's work, but because Matthews has some of the biggest, most ferocious ones I have ever seen. Matthews is surrounded by marsh, aka Mosquito Central.
Oh, God.
But at this moment, it was eerily quiet and still. I try to play a straight face like nothing is wrong. My chest became extremely tight and heavy, as if something had grabbed each side of my ribs and started to squeeze them together, and my stomach was increasingly more nauseous. Remember, at this point, we were all sitting on our knees or cross-legged next to this tree. All of a sudden, the German Shepherd came and sat on top of me, leaning all the way into me, facing outwards as if protecting me from something. The owner then proceeds to tell me she's never seen her dog do this before, especially to someone he just met. He begins to growl, but not at any of them that are next to me, staring straight out into the darkness that surrounds us, specifically the entrance of the graveyard. At this point, I expressed the tightness in my chest, the feeling of dread, and how my stomach was uneasy. Note, I do not and have never had health conditions that would cause this. I say, I think we should go. This doesn't feel right. And everyone agrees, and we start to head to the entrance. Trying to stay calm, everyone is pretty quiet and really just determined to get out before anything else happens. The dog, though? The dog proceeded to sprint out of the graveyard, running only a few feet back to the house, stopping, pointing, frantically barking, and then running to the opposite direction, stopping, pointing, and frantically barking, repeating this back and forth multiple times. He was not looking straight, though. He was looking up, as if whatever it was 8 to 9 feet tall, and there was not just one of whatever it was. It was at least two. To say the least, we ran back to the road, and I can confirm even 8 years later, that was the fastest I have ever run in my entire life, only turning around to make sure the dog was with us. I could say I have never felt brave enough to explore any abandoned house in the dark again, and especially not in Matthews. Most older houses in Matthews are at least 100 years old, and who knows what Native Americans they pissed off in the process. When I tell you I can still feel this experience viscerally, as if it happened only yesterday, who knows, maybe it was just the energy of all of us manifesting something, but all I know is I will always have a dog with me in these situations. I would also like to mention that since I have moved, I have not ever had the same feeling I do when I visit home. I live in Appalachia now, and I know there are plenty of stories that come from here, but for me, the energy feels cleaner and lighter, and I haven't had any experiences here. I've even gone camping many times and now live on an old farm. I used to have experiences on the daily, or at least heavy feelings or eyes on me when I lived in Matthews. I have so many more shorter, less eventful stories I will send you later. I just thought since Halloween is coming up, it would be a good time to send this one over. Thank you again for the pod. I love you ladies and look forward to future episodes, especially this month with the 2 a week.
Oh, did we start doing
We started
2
in
a week
October, yeah.
I have several thoughts, but I need to ask you, are you lying to me?
Me?
Yes.
No.
About how you're
what?
putting these stories together.
Oh, no, I'm not. I know, it's weird. I swear. I'm not lying.
What does that mean? I don't know what it is, but I'm like concerned. And I'm waiting for us to not have an episode where there's like some kind of
like
hidden
no
theme.
connection.
This is getting weird.
Very weird. I'd like to know more about Matthews. I'd like to visit Matthews.
Me too.
But maybe in the winter with no mosquitoes.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. After how they described it, I might be good. I'm gonna be good on Matthews.
Okay. Our next story comes from Amalia, I believe is how you say it. Hey loves, my name is Amalia. I'm 22 years old, from Toronto, but living in Portugal. I wanted to start by saying recently I came across your YouTube and became obsessed with your stories and stories sent in. Anyways, I don't want this to be too long. I have a story that dates back to 2019 when I was 17. This story takes place in Portugal. Little side story, I would come to Portugal for summer vacations ever since I was little. So I had this amazing idea to go for a walk at midnight, maybe 1 a.m., with my childhood best friend, Lucy. Where we live, it's not a city, it's a small town with old forts from when Spain was at war with Portugal, etc. Lots of nature, forests, mountains, that kind of stuff. Anyways, back to the story. We walked to the cemetery where we both have relatives buried. The gates were closed, but we opened them, and there was already a heavy feeling when we walked in, which was probably a warning sign of, hey, get out. But we ignored it and used our phone flashlight to see where we were walking. My grandfather passed away before I was born. Sadly, I was never able to meet him. His resting place isn't underground. It's like a little house. I'm not sure how to say it in English. In Portuguese, it's a huzigo. I stopped by just to look inside. Lucy continued walking around, and inside my grandfather's resting place, there's a little candle, and it's powered by batteries. It turned off. Lucy was silent. I got a whiff of a rotten sewer smell, so I turned around to ask Lucy if she smelled what I was smelling. I turn around and there's this massive black, maybe 9 to 10 foot thing with these tiny, what I would assume are eyes, just looking at me and Lucy. Her phone was at 73%. And when she looked back at me, then back at her phone went dead. This thing didn't move. It stayed there while Lucy slowly started walking backwards towards me. I grabbed onto the cross on the door of my grandfather's huzigo and whispered to him, Avo Daniel, I'm scared, please protect me. This sounds crazy, but after I said that, his little candle turned back on. Her phone was still dead, but the smell started to slowly fade away. That tall, scary thing backed away from us. I said thank you to my grandfather and ran out of there. Lucy and I were in shock. We laughed it off, but then maybe a week later, her mother was going to a little fiesta in another town close by and asked if we wanted to go. And of course we did. Anyways, we're all in the car. Her mom's driving. We are in the back seat. Her older sister's in the front passenger seat, and we're passing this foresty area. Lucy pinches my leg and says, look. I look out the window, and that scary, tall, black, rotten-smelling thing is standing there watching us drive past. Mind you, her mother and sister didn't see anything. To make it worse, we mentioned it, and they brushed it off as we need to sleep or we're just seeing things. To this day, I've never seen it ever again, and I hope to never see it again. I'm sorry for such a long story, but I hope you both enjoyed. Continue what you're doing. Love you both, and I can't wait for more stories. All the best.
Thank you.
It just drained the battery of Lucy's phone and of the light in the grave.
Yep. But the grandfather said,
Snaps for
get out of
Grandpa.
here. Get out of here.
I don't like that it was just sitting there on the side of the road watching them pass by. Like, was that a warning? Like, don't come here again? Or like,
I don't know. Do you think the thing is like someone that's buried there? Or is that like a dark
I don't
entity?
know. That felt darker to me.
Me
That
too.
definitely felt darker to me. And I don't know, maybe the grandfather's protection is still over them so it couldn't get any closer than the side of the road like that.
Maybe.
The last person is Kate. Hi there. I just recently found your videos on YouTube and absolutely love your channel. I was watching one where you talked about viewer write-in stories and have one I thought you'd find creepy. This all took place back in the early 2000s when I was a little kid. It was the first house my parents had ever owned, and it was an adorable baby blue 3-bedroom house. Absolutely nothing was creepy about it, except for one room. We used it as the computer room back then, very early 2000s, and it was directly next to my childhood bedroom. I was a pretty imaginative kid and had a lot of imaginary friends, but they were all characters from books and movies. My imaginary bestie, for example, was Belle from Beauty and the Beast, except for one, that I swore up and down to my parents he wasn't imaginary at all. His name was Jack. He was a 12-year-old little boy, and he lived in the computer room closet. I used to tell my parents that Jack was very nice unless I made him angry, and then he was scary and did scary things in my closet at night. I didn't sleep well during these times and would run to my parents' bedroom crying and telling them they needed to kick Jack out because he was scaring me. We also had a huge dog, a lab mix, who was the absolute sweetest, but she flat out refused to go into the computer room. No amount of treats or coaxing would get her in there. She would lay in the hallway right outside the door and stare into the room, growling. My mom believes in the paranormal, and between the dog's behavior and my stories, she felt like something was wrong. My dad did not believe in any of it at all, and still doesn't to this day. When I was 5, my mom got pregnant with my little brother, and they decided to convert the computer room into his room. To say I lost my mind would be an understatement. According to my parents, I was adamant that they couldn't put my baby brother in that room because Jack wouldn't like it. For months, I cried and begged them not to make that room his nursery. My mom, being heavily pregnant and emotional at this point, got freaked out and asked her brother to come sage the house, specifically that room. He came over and spent 2 hours meticulously saging every inch of the house, paying special attention to the computer room and the closet in it. He even brought holy water from his church and drew crosses above the door. From that day on, I never mentioned Jack again. It was like he never existed, and our family dog suddenly loved that room, would spend hours lounging in the sun in there. I slept through the nights again, and my brother never had anything odd happen in that room. To this day, we don't talk about it much as a family, but it gives me chills anytime I think about it. My mom gets weirdly quiet when I bring it up and says she doesn't want to talk about it, while my dad just denies the whole thing and says I just must have been having bad dreams and ghosts aren't real. I try not to think about it if Jack was a ghost or something much worse. Luckily, we don't live there anymore. Apologies for the long email, just wanted to share the story. Thank you and absolutely love your podcast. Keep up the awesome work, Kate.
Okay. I think Jack's a bad spirit. Not necessarily demonic.
But definitely negative. If
Yes.
it's like terrorizing this child,
Yes.
I would honestly pass out if my child said, "Oh, he's my friend. He's so nice." Unless I make him mad and then he's mean to me and scares me from the closet.
Also, just being so adamant at 5 years old, like, you cannot put my baby brother in there. That's horrifying. And the mom?
Oh, I'm so glad the mom
So valid.
believed Kate. I'm so glad your mom believed you because,
And so glad your uncle came through with the spiritual stuff.
We all need an uncle like that, I think. Okay, this is Kate's last story and our last story of the episode. Hi ladies, sorry to double email you, but one of your recent viewer story videos brought this memory up and I just had to send it to you. Side note, absolutely love the viewer write-in episodes. You guys do a great job telling these stories and they are so spooky. Also really makes you feel less alone to hear what other people have experienced. I feel like people in my everyday life tend to write paranormal experiences off. And I've said it before, but that is one of my favorite things about listener stories is we can all come together and like relate to each other. So my last email was about my imaginary friend I had as a child. And while that story ended well overall, I've had tons of paranormal experiences since then. Pretty much my whole life at this point. Most experiences were pretty harmless, or at least short/quick enough to mostly forget about. But other than my imaginary friend, there's one other experience that left me absolutely terrified. It's the only time I've ever actually seen something with my own eyes, like a shadow person. This will probably be long. I apologize in advance. I have a cousin, we'll call her M for the sake of the story, who is only a few months older than me. Between being the same age and our parents being really close, we practically grew up like sisters. All of my creepiest paranormal experiences, minus the imaginary friend, happened around M too. I personally think she's highly sensitive and maybe a magnet, as they moved around a lot growing up, but always had paranormal things happening in their house. I feel like I may be slightly sensitive, but to be honest, I get so scared when things happen that I think I subconsciously push it down. We had a lot of creepy experiences together growing up, but one that happened when we were both in our early 20s takes the cake for all time scariest. This story happened when M, her husband, and their daughter, who I call my niece, and M's parents, my aunt and uncle, were living in a house in a small beach town in Texas. From the outside, the house was absolutely adorable and your quintessential beachy house. On the inside, however, it was a different story. While it was updated and a nice house overall, there were some odd things that sent up red flags from the day we moved in. Or from the day they moved in. The previous owners had left this small glass angel hanging over the door to the backyard. There was also one bedroom that had the door flipped around, so that the lock on the handle actually faced the outside of the room.
Immediately no.
Like the
Immediately
previous
no.
owners were locking someone or something in.
Nope. That's all I needed to hear. I'm scared.
The window in that room was also the only one in the house that didn't open. Like the whole hardware and setup was completely different from every other window in the house. They also found a wooden cross in the closet of this room. Every other room in the house was totally normal, nothing odd about them. Despite these pretty glaring red flags, because of the size and location of the weird room, it became my niece's bedroom. She was about 3 at the time. It was already common for my niece to sleep with M and her husband instead of on her own before they moved to this house, but in this house, she outright refused to sleep alone. M got weird vibes from the room too. She had no problem with her daughter not sleeping in there. But they kept a bed in there anyway, a full mattress on a very low to the ground bed frame to allow my toddler niece to get up and down on her own. Because my niece pretty rarely slept in the room when my family and I would visit, it became a guest room. I have back problems, so usually I would sleep there since it had an actual mattress. Then my younger brother would sleep on the couch in their game room, and my parents would sleep on an air mattress in the living room. We had visited a few times and had the same setup each time before the events of this story took place. And each time, my niece's room scared me more and more. The whole feeling in that room was just off, like someone was watching you and didn't like that you were there. I spent as little time in there as possible and usually took a melatonin sleep pill to knock myself out at night so I wouldn't have to deal with anything spooky late at night. Ridiculous, I know.
I don't think it's ridiculous.
I don't think so either.
100% valid.
This visit, however, my little melatonin trick was not working. We had all stayed up late talking and hanging out, as you do on family trips. It was about 2 a.m. when everyone went off to bed, and I was still pretty wide awake. I had the TV in the room on House Hunters, my favorite comfort show when I'm spooked out, and I was laying in the bed just scrolling on my phone. The main room light was off, but the TV and my phone gave the room that electronic glow, so I could still see pretty clearly. I laid there for probably an hour until about 3 a.m. when I suddenly felt eyes on me. Like that horrible, goosebumpy, shivery feeling of someone watching you. All the hair on my body was standing up. I immediately knew something was wrong. I was terrified, and my heart was absolutely racing. I slowly scanned the room, hoping I was just being silly and nothing was wrong. But as I looked up at the bedroom door, I saw a huge black figure completely blocking out the doorframe. I couldn't make out any features. It was just a black mass shaped like a person. But it was tall. Its head came to at least a foot above the doorframe. And while I couldn't see its eyes, I could feel it glaring at me. I don't know how else to describe it, but it felt like pure evil. I froze for a second, just staring at it in complete shock. Then its dark, shadowy arm slowly raised like it was pointing at me. I shrieked in fear and immediately turned to flip on the lamp next to my bed. When I looked back, with the light now on, the figure was gone. I knew I couldn't stay in that room, but the thought of walking through the door it was just standing by was also terrifying. I debated for a few minutes, then finally grabbed my phone and blanket and sprinted out of the room, down the dark hallway, and into the living room where my parents were passed out on their air mattress. I ended up sleeping on the couch right by my parents that night, although, really, I barely slept. What messed with me the most was that I was normally asleep at 3 a.m. on previous visits, since I would take melatonin. So, who knew how many times that thing had watched me sleep while I laid there, completely unaware.
No.
Honestly, still gives me shivers thinking about that even today. I have full-on goosebumps and my heart is racing typing this all out. In the morning, I told everyone what happened the night before. Most of my family said I must have been dreaming, but Em believed me immediately. She said she hadn't wanted to scare me before, but my niece would come crying to her about the, quote, dark man in her room, and that was a big reason why she slept in Em and her husband's room. My niece claimed the man came from the closet and liked to block the bedroom door, just like I'd seen it doing.
Block the bedroom door? Like you can't get out?
Yeah. I never slept in that room again on any visit, and despite supposedly not believing me, no one else did either. Lots of weird things happened in that house, even outside my niece's room, like Em hearing whistling from right outside her bedroom window at night, and the TV in the living room turning on randomly. But whatever was in my niece's room was much darker than what was going on in the rest of the house. I truly believe those previous owners kept that door locked from the outside for a reason. Em tried to contact the previous owners a few times, but never heard back from them, so I guess we'll never know what they experienced. They have now moved out, and their new home seems to be ghost-free for now, and my niece now sleeps alone in her room with no problems. Sorry for the super long story. Let me know if you want any more stories about the house or other spooky things Em and I experienced together. Feel free to share this one and the imaginary friend story on the podcast if you want to. Thanks for reading. Kate.
There was a cross in the closet.
There was.
Oh,
and the thing comes from the closet and
my
blocks the
God.
door to keep you from leaving.
Oh my God. In small beach town in Texas. Is this Galveston?
In Texas.
Is this Galveston? Is this Corpus Christi? Where is this?
I don't know. There's a lot of beachfront property.
South Padre? Where is this? Let us know. I want to know where this is.
Yeah, I would like to know.
Oh.
If you're comfortable doing so.
DM me on my personal Instagram. I won't tell anyone. Oh my God. Send me pictures of the house. Oh my God.
That's freaky.
Send me the address. I want to find this house.
Natalie is invested.
Because it's in Texas.
Yeah.
It's only because it's in Texas. And I hate any door that locks from the outside. That is so scary to me.
I agree.
Because
I agree.
even if you're like not trying to keep like a dark entity out, it's like you're trapping someone in there. Like imagine like you're like a kid and your parents lock you in.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that has happened to people before. I'm sorry if it
I
did.
don't like to think about it, yeah. But
Oh
but
my
yeah.
God.
That one unsettled me. That last story really shook me to my core a little bit.
Yeah, this was a chaotic recording, so...
Oh my God. I hope this turns out okay. So
we had a really hard time
bear
recording
with
this
us.
one. So, if it sucks, I'm so sorry. We'll try again on Monday. But I'm scared. That
I'm a
last
little
story
freaked out.
really...
And now you have to go edit. It's dark. I'm
No.
sorry. Make Ryan sleep in here on the couch.
PD will sleep on the couch. PD always stays in here with me.
All right, good. He's your protector. So like this video if you liked it, share it with your friends if you feel compelled to do so, and subscribe for more. If you have a story that you'd like to share with us, you can email us at ghostiespod@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your story. We're kind of jumping around. We've got a themed episode, not next week, but the week after. I'm really
Themed
excited
listener?
about. Yes, themed listener stories
Ooh.
episode. So go ahead and send them in. We've got like a backlog, like thousands of stories, but send them in anyway because I'm jumping around every once in a
I was
while.
about to say, you don't even have to jump around for a theme. They theme themselves.
That's true.
That is so spooky. I'm sorry.
A planned theme.
That is so scary to me.
If you're on audio, please leave us 5 stars. And if you'd like to, you can join us on Patreon. We're having a live stream this weekend. Fingers crossed to see how that goes. We're going to watch a movie together, hopefully. We'll see. I don't know.
We're going to try. We're going to try to watch Hereditary because Macy's never seen it. And
Yes.
I've been saying it for like the almost 2 years we've been doing this pod. We've technically been recording for 2 years.
We have.
September will be 2 years since we released. We started slowly recording in
Aw,
July.
We did. Happy 2-year anniversary.
Weird. Feels like we started like last year.
It does. But yeah, you can go to patreon.com/ghosties to see that. We also go ahead and join for free because we're thinking about doing a free live stream. So we probably will. So go ahead and join for free now if you want a live with us.
Yep. It'll be a lot of fun. We're going to be baking the things that Kai from Hawaii sent us.
Yes. I'm so excited.
We'll do maybe a little Q&A.
Yeah.
Just hang
Oh,
out.
definitely. We're just going to hang out. But anyway, that's what we've got for you today. See you next time.
And if you're here, leave a chair emoji if there is one. I'd like to see it.
That's good to me.
Goodbye. Yeah, like almost every story or every other story.
You stop! You just turned and said, what?
Me too. Oh God.
And you're just talking about the story themes.
The story theme is what?
Okay.
I'm gonna put the description comment if your name is Juan. Okay. All right.
Are people going to hate us?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to cut a lot. This is gonna be a feat.
Okay, we'll just cut the entire end of that last story.
Juan.
You were like, yeah, you were trying to say the theme of the story, and you just said, Juan? What?
I'm trying not to cry. I'm sweating so bad. I can't move my arms. I'm sweating through this shirt.
Okay.
Juan.
You looked me in my soul and were like, what? This is so unserious.
This is the worst recording we've had in a while.
Yeah, it's been pretty good lately. This is like returning to our roots.
I know. Oh God. Okay.